The brutal truth about staying positive in tough times, this will haunt you forever. The night was thick with dread, and something was definitely off. Rachel stood alone in her dimly lit kitchen, the air heavy with a chill that gripped her heart like a vice. Outside, the wind howled like a desperate spirit seeking solace. She could feel it, the suffocating weight of secrets, a storm brewing just beyond her window. For weeks now, her life had spiraled, and every time she tried to put on that brave face, something darker lurked beneath. Little did she know, the truth about positivity in tough times was about to rip the facade apart. The first strange thing she noticed was the glimmering silver key left inconspicuously on her counter. It wasn't hers. It was there one moment and gone the next, always just at the edge of her vision. Tension twisted in her stomach as she reached out to grasp it, but it slipped away, almost taunting her. What was it unlocking? Then there were the whispered voices echoing through her dreams, chilling her from the inside out. They spoke in hushed tones, hurried, like they were plotting something horrible just beyond her grasp. She woke up with a tight chest, gripping her pillow like it was a lifeline, and found herself muttering affirmations through her choking fear. Just stay positive, everything's fine, she told herself. But was it really? A helpless sense of urgency wrapped around her. Each day, the postman came by, she could see him through the corner of her eye, leaving behind stacks of envelopes emblazoned with ominous stamps. Rachel tried to brush off the feeling. What did she have to be afraid of? But the words never left her, they echoed as she opened her mailbox, the letters crackling like fire, carrying messages that left her breathless. What were they saying? Why did they feel like a warning? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Rachel's heart raced as she stared at her reflection in the window, the flickering streetlight casting a ghostly shadow behind her. What was true positivity when everything felt like quicksand under her feet? One moment she stood strong, then the floors would drop, pulling her into an abyss of despair. Could she conquer the dark thoughts that whispered lies into her mind? As she turned back to the kitchen, the key lay there again, glistening under the dim light. This time it felt heavier, more powerful, as if it held the key to unlocking all her fears and the secrets she didn't even know she had. What waited beyond that door? The real question was she brave enough to find out? The key lay there, glinting. Rachel's heart pounded like a war drum against her ribcage. What was it doing here again? A sinister pull urged her forward, drawing her like a moth to a flame. She felt the warmth in her fingertips as she reached out, an electrifying shock surging through her as she finally gripped it. It felt alive, vibrating with a promise and a threat all at once. Outside, the wind howled with greater ferocity, rattling the windows and drowning out her thoughts. She took a deep breath, trying to find some courage amid the chaos. What if this was the key to saving herself? Or perhaps it was the beginning of her undoing. With a final glance around her kitchen, she made her choice. Rachel rushed to the door at the end of the hall, a door she had always ignored. The wood was worn, like it carried the weight of secrets and faded hopes. As she approached, the key felt heavier in her hand, as if it were urging her to act. She inserted it into the lock, her hand trembling as she twisted it. There was a satisfying click, one that echoed in her mind like a death knell. The door creaked open, spilling a sliver of darkness that felt alive with voices. They swirled around her, whispers turning into cries, begging her to turn back. But she stepped inside, drawn by the urgency that pulsed through her. The air hung thick with something ancient, something terribly familiar. What awaited her was a sight that made her knees weak. The room was filled with photographs scattered across the floor, images of her life interspersed with faces she didn't recognize. Each one bore a date, a moment of her past frozen in time. Rachel bent down to examine one, her breath hitching. It was a picture of her school graduation. But there, lurking in the background, stood a shadowy figure grinning, its eyes dark and hollowed out. A chill seeped into her bones. Who was that? What did they want? She moved to another photo, this one from her childhood birthday. That same figure was there again, impossibly closer. Panic clawed at her insides. She staggered backward, crashing into a stack of photos that sent a cascade of memories scattering around her. Each piece was a puzzle of her life, fragments of happiness twisted with images of anguish. Suddenly, a loud crash from the kitchen jolted her back to reality. The sound sliced through the suffocating darkness, shattering the trance she'd been in. Rachel's heart raced as she raced back to the doorway, the need to escape burning in her throat. But as she reached for the doorknob, she found it cold and unyielding. "Let me out!" She screamed, but no sound reached her ears, like a muffled echo in a void. Frantic thoughts swirled in her mind. Was this room a reflection of her inner turmoil? Or was there something more sinister at play? The shadows in the corners leaned closer, whispering secrets she couldn't understand, their voices melding into a haunting chorus that pulled at her sanity. She had to escape before the darkness consumed her. With newfound determination, she turned back to the photographs, seeking answers as her breath came in shallow bursts. But then, a realization struck her: if the key had unlocked this door, there had to be more it could open. But to what? Her heart raced with a blend of fear and anticipation. What horrors would she have to confront to reclaim her life? She braced herself. A shadow shifted behind her, and in that moment, she understood. Nothing had prepared her for the truth that lay ahead. As she turned, a voice echoed in the darkness, chilling her to the core. "You can't just run from the past, Rachel. It always finds you." What will she discover about herself as she faces those haunting shadows? The answer, sealed in the darkness, leaves a chilling question on her lips. Would she embrace the light or let it engulf her? Rachel's heart raced, pounding in her chest like a desperate drum. The voice lingered, wrapping around her like a chill fog, laced with memories she wasn't ready to confront. She squinted into the shadow, hoping to catch a glimpse of the figure lurking there. "Who are you?" she called, her voice softer now, the bravado waning as fear choked her throat. The shadows pulsed and shifted, but no answer came. Instead, the photographs on the floor began to vibrate, rising slightly as if waiting for her command. She swallowed hard. This was no normal room. It held the essence of every moment that had tortured her soul. With shaking hands, she knelt to pick up a photo eerily simple, a family picnic. But in the upper corner, that same dark figure hovered, a sinister grin stretched across its face. "No," she whispered, piecing together fragments of her past. "You've been here this whole time." The photographs drew her like a moth to a flame. Each was a connection to a moment in time, a reminder of something unbearable that clung to her. They all felt like chains, weighing her down. But maybe, just maybe, hidden within these memories was a way out. With a steely resolve, Rachel began to sift through the photos. Moments of joy spilled into sorrow, laughter merging with echoes of pain. High school dances, family Christmases, the first day at her job, all tainted by that menacing lurking shadow. What did it want? And why was it following her? Then, among the chaos, an unexpected sight drew her attention, a picture she didn't recognize. A frayed image of a dimly lit cabin in the woods, dated 10 years ago. She could barely recall that summer, the air thick with secrets and half-remembered conversations. As she focused on the picture, the atmosphere shifted. It felt as though the air around her had thickened, pulsing with an electric energy. "Why this one?" she murmured, the weight of curiosity pushing her to dig deeper. The ground beneath her felt unsteady, the whispers grew louder, clearer, feeding her anxiety. She suddenly felt a pang in her heart. What if that cabin held the answer to her anguish? A strange urgency gripped her as she picked up the picture, clutching it close. "Let me go!" she shouted again, defiance igniting within. The doorknob rattled in response, as if acknowledging her impatience and frustration. But that was when it struck her again. The darkness in the room twisted, thickening like a storm cloud, feeding off her fear. Shadows stretched and danced, more pronounced than before. Something was coming, she could feel it slip through the cracks of her mind, weaving her nightmares into tangible threats. Don't you get it? The sinister voice echoed, more present now. You've already confronted your past and I'm here to show you why. But do you really want to know? Her pulse quickened. She had to decide. Facing the past could serve as a key to freeing herself from these haunting memories, yet the fear of what might emerge kept her frozen in place. Then, from the darkness behind her, something shifted again. A face emerged, half hidden in shadow, the figure adorned with that familiar grin. Its hollow eyes met hers, a cold smile stretching wider. What will you do, Rachel? It beckoned softly. Embrace the truth, or let it consume you. A chill crawled up her spine. The cabin, the key. What if the shadows in her life weren't just haunting her but guiding her towards something she needed to uncover? The room trembled with tension, and in that moment, she realized, what she was about to unveil would change everything. But would she be ready for the brutality of that truth? As the figure inched closer, she took a deep breath, ready to either break free or embrace her fate. The air was thick with inevitability. With one decisive step forward, she barked, "Show me." And in that moment, the world around her fractured, shining light on a darker truth lurking just beneath the surface. What awaited her now, she couldn't begin to imagine. As the shadows swelled, a scream echoed in the distance, her own, or perhaps someone else's. The question hung heavy in the air, waiting for an answer. Would she confront the darkness or become part of it? The photos began to swirl around her, each one blurring into the next, and Rachel felt herself being pulled into a vortex of memories. The room faded, replaced by the eerie landscape of the cabin from the photograph. She stumbled, barely able to catch her breath. The scent of pine needles filled the air, sweet yet cloying, and chills raced down her arms like a swarm of insects. Where was she? The shadows loomed larger here, shifting like living entities, whispering secrets that scraped against her ears. Welcome back, they seemed to hiss, the words intertwining with the wind. Rachel shook her head, desperate to dispel the grotesque reality forming around her. Suddenly, the tall silhouette of the dark figure stood before her, its grin now prominent and unsettling. You wanted to know, didn't you? It crooned, its voice dripping with malice. You yearned for the truth. Here it is. Memory shards sliced through her, laughter of friends echoed around her, memories that belonged to sun-drenched days in the woods. Yet underneath, a heaviness slumbered. She strained to focus, feeling the violent pull of the shadows. Stop! She cried out, grounding herself in the moment. I want to know, but not like this. The figure stepped closer, its hollow eyes glistening with a flickering light. Rachel instinctively stepped back, but something in those eyes held her captive. You can't escape. You must see it for what it truly is. Images splintered out from the darkness. Suddenly, she was standing in the woods again, 10 years ago, light filtering through the trees. Laughter rang through the air as she was surrounded by friends. The smell of burgers on a grill made her stomach tighten with nostalgia. Yet there it was, the shadowy presence lurking at the edge, always watching, always waiting. Do you remember when it happened? The voice slithered around her, blending with the laughter. Do you remember who they really were? Rachel's breath hitched as faces began to morph in front of her. Familiar smiles twisted into menacing grins, their eyes darkening until they were entirely devoid of light. The joy faded, replaced by a gnawing dread. Know this isn't how it was. She protested, flipping through the pages of her mind to another memory, trying to escape the nightmare unfolding. But the shadows wouldn't let go. Your truth is a lie, the figure mocked, its form becoming fluid, twisting and entwining with the branches above, and you've concealed it for too long. Panic surged, and she pressed her hands against her temples, trying to block out the cacophony. What do you want from me? She yelled, her voice cracking. To remember, it whispered chillingly. To embrace what you've buried deep. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted. A vision broke through her best friend, Jenna, their camping trip that summer, the laughter but also the argument that tore them apart. The shadows danced, reliving the pain. Flashes of yelling and accusations filled her mind, only to be drowned by echoes of betrayal. Do you see? The figure demanded, weaving in and out of the memories. Your guilt feeds me, Rachel. You buried her in your mind, but her cries remain. Unacknowledged. Unseen. No, I can't. She stumbled back as the weight of it all crashed over her like a tsunami. Maybe, just maybe, it purred, voice low and dripping with promise, this is your chance to set it right. But first, you must confront the monster you created in silence. A sudden roar erupted from the shadows, enveloping her. Rachel felt her chest tightening, a sense of impending doom creeping over her. She took a step back, scared to confront the truth. But she couldn't run forever. Will you face it? There was a glint of anticipation in the figure's eyes. Can you handle what is about to unfold? And just like that, the memories began to spiral faster, faster, until it felt as if she were being consumed. The questions pressed harder. Would she finally make peace with her past, or would those dark roots continue to strangle her future? As the shadows swirled around her, she knew she was running out of time. Would she break free of the darkness, or would it pull her back into the depths of despair? In the eye of the storm, a new scream pierced the air, a cacophony of grief and regret that wasn't just Rachel's. And in that moment, she realized, she wasn't alone in this fight. But whose screams echoed alongside hers, and what would they unearth together? The answer loomed ahead, shrouded in darkness. The ground trembled as Rachel stood on the precipice of confronting her past. The shadows roared around her, alive with fury and despair. Every flicker of darkness pulsed like a heartbeat, entwining her in a nightmare that felt both surreal and oppressively real. Suddenly, a familiar scream cut through the air again, and this time it was unmistakably Jenna's voice. Panic coursed through Rachel like a wildfire, igniting her senses. She'd buried Jenna's memory, hadn't she? But that voice echoed with pain, with betrayal demanding to be heard. What do you want from me? Rachel gasped, her heart racing. The figure loomed larger, its features shifting in and out of focus. Face it. It hissed, the shadows swirling like a black storm. You cannot silence her anymore. The memories crashed over her once more. Images flashed in a gruesome parade, the campfire they laughed around, the moment of the fight, and then the vicious silence that followed Jenna's disappearance. Guilt sunk its claws deep, pulling at her with every recollection. She stumbled forward, desperate to see Jenna's face again, to fix everything that had fallen apart. Jenna. I'm sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen. Sorry, bring me back, the figure whispered, morphing into a twisted version of Jenna. You were supposed to watch over me, Rachel. You let me go. No. Rachel's voice cracked, her reality shattering. No, that's not true. I did everything I could. Everything you could. The shadows cackled, their laughter wrapping around her, heavy and suffocating. You buried your truth. You turned away when I needed you the most. A thick fog rolled in, pulling Rachel further down the rabbit hole, drenching her in regret. The world around her shimmered, revealing snatches of conversations, memories forged in joy and marred by darkness. She could see them, friends arguing, laughter turning sour, the last hug they shared that felt like a goodbye, and then it all crumbled. When Rachel's eyes found the darkened figure again, she saw it distinctly was her friend but the embodiment of her guilt. The truth settled cold in her chest. She ran from it rather than facing it. I can't change the past. She shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. True, it hissed, looming ever closer, pulsing with ominous energy. But you can confront it. You can break free from the chains you forged in silence. A bright light flickered in the distance, a thin beam cutting through the gloom. Hope ignited within her, a defiance against the dark. She pushed against the memories that suffocated her, feeling the tightness in her chest loosen slightly. In an instant, Rachel saw the doorway of possibility, a way to reconcile with Jenna, a way to honor her lost friend. I will face it, she breathed, the flickering light growing stronger. I will not let you take her from me again. As those words left her lips, the shadows recoiled, a fierce wind howling around her, dispersing some of the darkness. The air sizzled with raw energy as though the world was holding its breath, the figure hissed, hints of frustration weaving through its form. You think you can rewrite the past? You think that you can just walk past the grave you dug? Rachel steadied herself, heart pounding, resolve igniting inside her. It was time to confront the monster, time to unravel the truth. In that moment, she felt a small flicker of Jenna's presence, urging her on. With a deep breath, Rachel took a step towards the light, feeling the warmth radiate around her. I will bring Jenna back to those who loved her, she declared, defiance echoing through the darkness. And I will do it for her and for me. But as Rachel inched closer to the flickering light, a menacing silence enveloped her. A deeper shadow, thicker than the rest, emerged from the darkness, lurking, waiting to wrap its tendrils around her resolve. Do you truly believe you can change anything? It rumbled, darkness coiling around her ankles like heavy chains. You are not the only one bound to this fate. What if I told you that another soul hangs in the balance? Rachel froze, realization trickling into her mind. Who? She whispered breathlessly, the fight in her fading. The figure disappeared into the depths of shadow, leaving behind only the question that echoed with chilling finality. What other haunted soul was tied to her past? Could she bear the weight of more than just her own guilt? And as she stood in the thin beam of light, Rachel was filled with dread, maybe breaking free wouldn't be as simple as she hoped. The shadows shifted restlessly around Rachel, a vortex of despair that threatened to pull her into the depths of oblivion. Her pulse quickened, pounding in her ears like a war drum, each beat a reminder of how close she stood to the edge of her own sanity. She felt claustrophobic in the dark, the oppressive weight of memories tearing at her resolve. Who? She repeated, the word escaping her lips like a whispered prayer. Desperation flooded her chest, a need to know, to save whatever flicker of hope remained. You don't truly want to know, a voice snaked through the shadows, mocking and sinister. I need to know. Rachel shouted back, her voice wavering but defiant. If I'm meant to face this, I can face anything. In answer, the shadows shrieked, swirling violently as if agitated by her challenge. Tendrils reached out, brushing against her skin, icy and familiar, sending tremors down her spine. They whispered secrets she had long attempted to silence. But she wouldn't back down. I won't hide anymore. She declared, finding strength in the pit of her gut. Tell me what you're hiding. The darkness recoiled slightly, as if processing her words. Then, with a growl, it settled back around her, thickening with anticipation, and floated slowly toward her with a sinister pulse. Lily, it hissed, drawing out the name, sending a chill crawling under Rachel's skin. Do you remember her? Lily. As soon as the name hit her ears, Rachel's breath caught in her throat. It was like a dagger stabbing through the shadows of her memory, revealing a truth she had buried even deeper than Jenna's. Flashes of laughter intertwined with shadows of fear and guilt flickered to life in her mind, a friendship forged in innocence, shattered by betrayal. No, Rachel shook her head, disbelief turning to horror. It wasn't my fault. Wasn't it? The shadows purred, drawing closer with every syllable. You abandoned them both. Two souls, lost because you wouldn't confront your truth. The ground felt unstable underfoot, and Rachel stumbled, grappling with the weight of what the figure was saying. The air grew thick with tension, the memories swirling around her, vivid and disturbing. She could almost see Lily's bright smile and the way it faded that night, when everything spiraled into chaos, the fight, the fear, her retreat into the night. Horror swept over her, grotesque and visceral. Could it be possible? Had her running away cost them everything? No. I tried to help. She cried, tears streaming down her cheeks as the emotion bubbled to the surface. I didn't know what to do. The shadows laughed, a hollow sound that echoed against her thoughts. Your fear was stronger than your love, Rachel. Just like the last time. Rachel could hardly breathe, the truth cutting through her like broken glass. It exploded in her chest, forcing her to confront not just Jenna's fate, but Lily's, too. The quiet cries for help she'd ignored, the looks of confusion and hurt she had turned away from. Facing the past will not be easy, the darkness whispered, coiling tighter around her. But only in pain can you find the truth. These two souls are bound to you. You may think you're here to save Jenna, but it's truly Lily you need to confront. As the shadows swirled around her, she realized that she could lose herself in this web of guilt, forever trapped in a cycle of regret. Suddenly, a faint glimmer of light pierced the darkness again, a beacon of hope among despair. Rachel's heart raced as she clung to that light, aware that the more she faced, the more she realized just how intertwined their fates truly were. Then show me, she whispered, her voice almost swallowed by the dark. Show me what I need to do. But the shadows faded, leaving her alone in the dim, flickering light. The air crackled with a newfound intensity, a nagging question lingering, would she be strong enough to face the past, not just for Jenna, but for Lily as well? As Rachel stood trembling, uncertainty gnawing at her gut like a wild creature, a new wave of dread washed over her. What if confronting their truths opened a door she wasn't ready to walk through? Rachel stood, heart racing, surrounded by the diminishing shadows, unsure of her next move. The glimmer of light flickered uncertainly, almost teasing her with its hopefulness, as if it might vanish whenever she reached for it. Memories pressed against her mind, trapped under layers of guilt and regret, clamoring for attention. A soft whisper echoed through the dimness, forming words she couldn't quite make out. You have to remember, it urged, a persistent shiver creeping down her spine. Remember what? She shouted to the void, frustration boiling in her throat. I don't know what you want from me. The light pulsed gently, brightening momentarily. Then, in a blink, scenes began to unfold in front of her, like pages in a storybook catching the wind. She found herself reliving that fateful night, the twilight hours stretching into eternity. She saw Lily, vibrant and full of life, laughing with Jenna, their friendship a tapestry woven with joy and a shadowy undertone of unspoken fears. Don't go, came Lily's voice, echoing from the depths of memory. Rachel winced. She could almost feel the anxiety radiating from her best friend's words. The scene shifted, now unfolding a darker reality, voices tense, Jenna accusing, her own heart racing in fear. You can't just walk away, Rachel. In that moment, Rachel recognized her cowardice, the way she'd run, leaving Lily behind to grapple with the unfolding chaos. The truth pierced through her. Had she really thought that escaping would protect them? This is your son. Jenna had screamed, words that turned a knife in Rachel's gut as Jenna revealed the shocking connection to their lives, a thread spun with connections deeper than she dared to confront. Fear had led her away, and with each step, she had severed the bond they once shared. Will you stand and fight this time? The shadows asked, the voice dripping with a taunting tone. They coiled around her again, urging her closer to a memory she had buried, the confrontation with Jenna. Would she have the courage to face it this time? Rachel clenched her fists in determination, tears spilling from her eyes as she gathered the fragments of her lost bravery. I can't change what happened, but I can face it now. She took a shaky breath, feeling empowered by her words despite the dread hanging in the air. The world around her warped and twisted as if the very fabric of reality obeyed her newfound resolution. The light flickered stronger, illuminating her surroundings. Shapes began to materialize from the shadows, familiar faces blinking into focus. Rachel, a soft voice broke through, laced with a hint of vulnerability. It was Jenna. Rachel's breath hitched, eyes widening in disbelief. She hadn't anticipated this moment. The confrontation that lingered like a specter on the edge of her mind was here. "Jenna," Rachel whispered, her voice trembling between hope and trepidation. What would Jenna say? Would she still see her as the coward who turned away, or could reconciliation find a way through the pain? The air grew taut, charged with unspoken words, electrifying in its intensity as Jenna stepped closer, eyes locking with Rachel's. "You owe me the truth, don't you?" The weight of the question hung heavy in the air, echoing the unaddressed fears Rachel had carried for so long. Would she have the courage to confess, to face the opioid of regret, and reclaim her shattered friendship? As the shadows wavered, poised with menace and intrigue, Rachel felt the ground shift beneath her. The decision loomed ahead. Was she ready to step towards the light, risking everything for the truth buried deep in the past? "Hold tight, Rachel," the shadows hissed, anticipation swirling like a storm. The moment of truth is just the beginning. Would facing Jenna's wrath lead to forgiveness, or would it unleash a storm more terrifying than the guilt that had tormented her for years? The air crackled with tension, the answer just beyond reach, leaving Rachel trembling on the edge of her own past. Rachel's heart hammered as she wrestled with the words stuck in her throat. The light surrounding her bloomed, pushing back the shadows, offering a momentary refuge. But that sanctuary felt precarious, like standing on glass. Jenna's eyes glimmered with something fierce, emotions bubbling just beneath the surface: anger, hurt, and maybe a sliver of hope. "Rachel, please," Jenna urged, her voice a fragile whisper. "Just tell me why." Fear gripped Rachel like ice as memories flooded in. She remembered the look on Lily's face that night: confusion and betrayal. A glimpse of the chaos that followed, her own cowardice wrapping around her like a suffocating shroud. "I didn't know what to do," she finally blurted, the confession tumbling out in a rush of agony. "I was scared, so scared." "With what?" Jenna's voice broke, and her raw emotion struck Rachel like a blow. "You left her, Rachel. You left both of us. This isn't just about you anymore." The words speared through Rachel's defenses, igniting a spark of something she had thought long extinguished. "I thought I was protecting you. Protecting Lily." It felt as if she were clawing at the truth through mud and despair. "Protecting us?" Jenna's eyes narrowed, disbelief crossing her features. "You let fear win. Do you think that makes it better?" Rachel wavered, the shadows behind her pulsing like a heartbeat, eager to swallow her whole. Their whispers grew louder, reverberating in her ears. "What if this truth sets you free? What if it destroys you?" She glanced at Jenna, whose tense expression screamed for resolution. Rachel clenched her fists again, feeling the trembling anger swell within her. "I should have fought harder. For you, for Lily. But I didn't, and now it haunts me." "You think saying that is enough?" Jenna's voice rose, trembling with pain. Rachel opened her mouth, searching for the right words. "I want to make amends. I want to face what I ran away from." "Face it? You think you can change the past?" A chill settled between them, thickening the air to suffocation. Jenna stepped back, drawing towards the shadows like they were old friends. "What if you're too late?" Rachel's breath caught, the sheer weight of Jenna's words crashing down like a wave. Suddenly, the fragile light flickered ominously, and the memories threatened to pull her under again. "Jenna!" Rachel reached out, desperate. "We can go back. We can know." Jenna cut her off, voice breaking like a dam bursting. "You can't go back. What happened? It's done. It's finished." "Then what do I do?" Rachel gasped. "What am I supposed to do now?" The shadows pulsed in response, moving like a living thing, anxious for blood. They whispered ideas, horrifying, gut-wrenching memories. "Make it right," they hissed, voices melding into one. "Face them all. The truth will cut deeper than a knife, Rachel. Do you have the courage?" Tension hung thick, stretching to its snapping point. Rachel's mind raced. The stakes had never been higher. Could she plunge into the turmoil of memories that had enslaved her, risking everything for some flicker of hope? Jenna's gaze softened momentarily, revealing the flicker of the girl Rachel once knew, the bond they had shared. But the moment faltered, the pain lingering like a shadow. "Rachel, you'll have to confront the darkness," Jenna said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Are you ready for what that means?" Rachel took a tentative step forward, still trembling. "I'll do whatever it takes, even if it means reopening wounds long buried." As the shadows crept closer, smothering the light, Jenna turned away, a painful defeat swirling in her expression. "Then you better be prepared, because what you're about to face won't be easy." Rachel nodded, heart racing, fighting tears. The chasm of uncertainty yawned beneath her feet. The path ahead was murky, fraught with treachery. One more step, and the shadows would swallow her whole, but could she find the truth hidden within? And would it destroy her utterly? As the echoes of past pain surrounded them, she stood at the edge, teetering on the brink of a reckoning that would change everything. A breath, then silence. "Prepare for the fallout, Rachel," the shadows hissed, their whispers echoing like malicious laughter. "Your journey is just beginning." Rachel's pulse raced as the shadows closed in around her. She could feel the cold breath of the unknown on her neck, a creeping dread that seeped into her bones. She took a shaky breath, inhaling the musty air thick with desperation. If she didn't confront the truth now, it would swallow her whole. "Jenna, wait." But Jenna was already stepping away, retreating further into the darkness, her silhouette fading from view. That instinctive urge to chase after her clawed at Rachel's insides, but she hesitated. The shadows gnashed their teeth, eager to consume any shred of courage she could muster. "Where do I start?" Rachel murmured to herself, trembling at the weight of her own words. The memories flooded back, each one sharper than a knife, each one a reminder of the torment she'd tried to escape. The faces of friends turned strangers flickered through her mind like a broken film reel. She shuddered, knowing she had to face all of them. She swallowed hard, heart racing, desperate to break the cycle of regret. "I can't be afraid anymore," she whispered, steeling herself for the confrontation looming ahead. The air vibrated with a haunted silence, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Rachel took a step deeper into the shadows, and as she did, a chill shot through her. She felt a familiar presence, a weight of betrayal hung heavy. Images of Lily flared to life in front of her, chaotic and vivid. The pain radiated from her chest as she recalled the sound of Lily's sobs, the moment she had walked away. "Lily, I'm so sorry," she breathed, her voice cracking with remorse. But the words felt hollow against the echoing memories. Then, like a spotlight cutting through the gloom, a hazy figure emerged, the ghost of her past, a specter caught between the whispers of regret and the pulse of unresolved feelings. "Rachel." The voice was familiar, yet the tone was filled with accusation. It was Lily. "Please," Rachel reached out as if she could grasp the specter's essence and pull it closer. "I need answers. I need you to forgive me." Lily's face twisted in anguish, images swirling around them of laughter turned to screams, of love replaced with despair. "You think you deserve forgiveness?" was all she said, the weight of the words crushing Rachel's chest like a vice. "No." Rachel cried, desperation inching beneath her skin. "I'm ready to face it all. I made mistakes, awful choices. But I want to change that. Help me understand." The shadows darkened, swirling as if they contemplated, then suddenly enveloped her. A cold wind howled in her ears. "You can't change what's already been done." With that, the darkness closed in tighter, squeezing the air from her lungs. Rachel's heart raced, she felt suffocated by doubt, guilt clawing its way back to the surface. "That's not true," she gasped, fighting against the weight pulling her down. "I can make it right. Just tell me how." "I'll do anything." The shadows responded with laughter, cruel and mocking, filling the space with a hollow chill. "Anything?" they echoed, the sinister tone curling around her like vines. Are you ready to face the consequences? Rachel steeled herself, spine straightening. Yes, she affirmed. Whatever it takes. I want to see the truth. The shadows expanded, a whirlwind of darkness stretching and yawning like a waiting maw. Then prepare for the pain that will pierce your very soul. Suddenly, the scene shifted violently, colors exploding into a whirlwind of bright chaos, and Rachel stumbled, caught in the storm. She squinted against the intensity, shadows morphing into painful memories, each moment a lesson forged in suffering. And then she saw at the moment everything changed, splintered. A betrayal, a secret, kept entwined with whispers of broken promises. No, she breathed, realization dawning, a frigid fear gripping her. Not that she was teetering on the cliff's edge of revelation. Would the truth reveal a path to redemption, or would it deepen the scars she had fought so hard to suppress? As the shadows enveloped her once more, Rachel braced for the impact of her haunting past, pulse quickening. Heart pounding. What have I done? The question resounded in the abyss, and the darkness laughed, a sinister echo promising a new horror just around the corner. The truth was not only about what happened, it was about who she had become and about to confront. Get ready, Rachel, the shadows hissed. Your past is waiting. Rachel teetered on the brink, every moment of her shattered past merging into one overwhelming reality. The shadows loomed closer, swirling with a malevolence that threatened to pull her under. But amidst the dread, something within began to stir, a flicker of determination igniting her spirit. She had come too far to turn back now. Show me, she breathed, her voice steady despite the chaos. I'm ready. The shadows paused, as if assessing her resolve, and then they surged forward, wrapping around her like a storm. The weight of memories crashed into her, a tidal wave of guilt and pain flashing vividly before her eyes. With each pulse, Rachel was thrust into scenes of her life she had tried desperately to forget. She stood in her bedroom, a teenage version of herself, arguing with Jenna over trivial things, laughter giving way to sharp words and slamming doors. The tension twisted in Rachel's gut, an uncomfortable knot she couldn't shake. Then suddenly, the setting shifted to a moonlit night where laughter echoed from the campfire, filling the air with warmth, only to fade as Lily's troubled expression surfaced in her mind. Rachel felt a dagger of regret slice through her heart. Was this where it all began? The moment she had chosen to walk away, leaving her friend to drown in her own struggles? Face it. The shadows cackled, their voices echoing like thunder. You abandoned them both. Stop. Rachel shouted, desperation surging. I didn't abandon anyone on purpose. I was terrified. And then, there she was, the dark figure emerging from the chaos, that chilling smile mocking her every impulse. You were scared, yes, but you let your fear dictate your actions, it hissed, always lurking, reminding her of her failures. What if you can't escape it? I won't hide anymore. She screamed, defiance surging through her. I will make this right. The world rippled around her, and in an instant, she stood in front of Jenna, anger and frustration visible in her eyes as they stood face to face. You think you can just walk back into my life and fix all this? Jenna's voice dripped with disbelief. You threw it all away when you ran. I know. Rachel cried, the admission bursting forth. I was scared, and I ran away instead of facing the truth. But I'm here now. I want to understand. I want to apologize. Apologies don't change what happened. Jenna's anger cut like ice, pain mingling with a raw need for closure. The shadows hissed, the air around them thickening with doubt, as familiar memories weighed heavily on Rachel's heart. I know that. I don't expect you to forgive me just like that. I can't change the past, but maybe, just maybe, I can make peace, both for you and for Lily. Jenna's gaze faltered, a flicker of hope pushing through the hurt. And what if you can't change anything? What if making peace means confronting your own darkness? Rachel straightened, heart racing as she stood her ground. I'll face it. I owe it to both of you. Not just for your memories but for mine, too. Suddenly, the air shimmered. The shadows clung tighter, swirling with menace, then pulled apart like the curtain of a stage exposing the ultimate truth. Lily, Rachel called into the void, desperation gripping her voice. Can you hear me? The shadows shifted, and from within, Lily's ghostly figure emerged, the sorrow etched into her features. Do you think an apology can bring me back? You thought running away would protect me, but it only distanced us. I know that now. Rachel cried, tears spilling as she fought to reach the girl she had lost. I can't change the past, but I swear I'll honor your truth. I'll remember and carry it with me. Lily's eyes softened, revealing flickers of the joy they once shared. You've carried the weight for too long. Will you finally release it? Rachel felt something shift, a warmth blooming deep inside her, the darkness wavering for the first time. Yes. I can't run anymore. I choose to stand in the light of the truth and face my past. But it was then the shadows surged, a final reminder of the dark side of memories that still clung to her. You think you can rewrite this? They mocked. You'll face pain, doubts, loss, and who knows what else will emerge. Bring it on. Rachel shouted bravely, ready for the storm. Whatever I must face, I will. I want to be free from this darkness. As she declared her commitment, the shadows convulsed, their laughter fading into silence while the light around her grew brighter. With the shadows retreating, Rachel felt a decisive rush of clarity. The memories no longer felt like chains dragging her down but threads connecting her to who she truly was. Goodbye, Jenna. Goodbye, Lily, she whispered, letting their faces imprint on her heart. I will carry your truth with me. The light enveloped her fully, warmth spreading through her veins like hope, obliterating the darkness that once consumed her. In this final moment, Rachel felt a peace settle deeply within her. A resolution formed, facing her fears, honoring her past wasn't just a journey, it was liberation. She stepped into the light, the shadows shrinking around her. No longer would they hold sway over her life or dictate her choices. It was time to embrace who she had become. Thank you, she said softly, for the first time accepting their place in her story, but also ready to move on. As the light surrounded her with fierce intensity, Rachel understood, true healing was both terrifying and beautiful. She had released the past, emerging renewingly into the world, ready to shine, and in the end, confronting her truth turned out to be the most heroic journey of all. Now, there's a spark of hope, a light in the darkness. The battle was won, and Rachel had finally freed herself, ready to step boldly into tomorrow. Don't miss it. You need to subscribe now and stay tuned for more exclusive stories that will touch your heart. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions, thoughts, and theories on how Rachel faced her darkness. And be a true friend, share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to witness this amazing journey of healing. Don't wait even one more second to support the channel. Your engagement fuels these narratives.